Hello and welcome to Note Investing Made Easier. I am your host, Martin Sines, on day 3 of showing appreciation to the industry and really just kind of recognizing different groups, different individuals that have played a role in my development, my growth over the course of years. And today, day 3, I am going to recognize the Philly Lien scene. So these are a group of individuals that have been critical to my growth and development over time. They are individuals that I first met just coming into the industry, new, not knowing anything, and I really credit them for probably saving me in so many ways financially, giving me vendors tips that have saved me money, giving me modification tactics and other things that have helped with borrower workouts. So I am extremely grateful to the Philly Lien scene, and I want to give them a shout out. And I will start with why there's a Philly Lien scene. I think you have to give a lot of credit, a lot of due to Dave Van Horn of PPR and everything that he's put together as in the early 2000s, and the result of that, the fruits of the labor, resulted in a lot of good quality individuals that learned the note industry and are still around today at growing their businesses and doing a number of things within the industry. So big shout out to the Philly Lien scene, starting with Dave Van Horn and some of the individuals that have been instrumental. Now, why I thought Philly Lien scene for today is because it really just ties back to the sense of community. I'd say that is probably the best thing that one can do when they're new coming into the space is form or insert yourself into an existing community or form a community of individuals that are further ahead of you. I mean, they don't have to be, 10 years ahead of you, just maybe a year or two ahead of you. And that way they can help guide you as you are delivering value to them in some way. So, build yourself into a community. Now, that's one of the reasons why I have the Facebook group is so there is a sense of community and you are around other individuals. Some are new out of the gate, some are very seasoned, and it's just a good mixture. The challenge that everyone has is to figure out how to, understand what your business is and how you can deliver value to each other, and then go out and connect with other like-minded individuals. Now, with that said, the folks in Philly were really my first group. I feel like, always feel like, the second cousin of that group, if you will. Never trained under Dave Van Horn. However, first people I met were after reading a series of books, because that's what I always think you should start with, books and kind of learning through maybe watching some videos and everything else. You don't want to do that for many years out. I mean, you want to get into the game at some point, but first conference I went to after reading, a bunch of books, 5-6 books, was an event in Philadelphia. Met Bill McCafferty, spent a lot of time with him. And again, think about, kind of what I just mentioned before. Bill was only a few years, into it when I met him. And so, however, he was very influential. He gave me a whole series of tips and guidance that really just saved me money, expedited my growth, and helped me avoid some of the pitfalls in the industry. So, again, you don't need to go to someone who has a PhD in note investing. They just need to be a little further along from you and have a willingness to help you. And that's what I found in Bill McCafferty. Some of the others, Fred Moskowitz, he was at that event too. Spent time with him. Tom Boren, who's with Aspen, spent time with him, although he's not a Philly guy, but much love to Tom. Fred and I have become very dear friends over the course of the years, and we're always talking about different types of activities, how we can do things differently in the space. I know he's working on a book. He has put out a fund recently, so he's doing just really awesome things within the space. And I still call him if I have questions, if I want to run by scenarios with him. I believe he does the same for myself. So, if you really just spend some time, find some like-minded individuals, those people, if you're really investing time into them by doing ongoing, communication with them, pinging them, texting them. I don't know if we use the word ping anymore, if that's like kind of a dated word term, but if you're texting them and just kind of punching them up every month and just staying in touch, then those friendships should evolve over the course of time, especially if both of you are committed in the space. And so I consider Fred a dear friend, well beyond just a colleague. Deepta was one of the first people I met. She was partnered with a gentleman, Alan Halperin, out of Brooklyn, and Adam still, I think he still kind of phases in and out of the industry, but he's a sharp dude, and Deepta, Deepta's just a walking brain. So that's all I can say with Deepta. So if you ever want, cold hard truth about something, then Deepta's your person to call, and you'll get that from her. Now, I will say that, I've also worked with these individuals. I've bought notes from these individuals. I've sold notes to these individuals. And I can tell you that the work ethic out of that group is tremendous. You kind of say, people look at note investing, and I know you kind of see the podcast and the websites and everything, and it's all like, oh, this is easy, make money while you're on the beach and all this and that. But the people that I know that are really crushing it and doing well in the space, they're working their tails off, not just Monday through Friday, they're working weekends. It's because they're building everything for themselves. They're building for their future. So, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. You guys got that. So Neil is another one, Worsham, Neil and Lisa, a beautiful couple out of Delaware. And so they were one of the first folks I met, and you saw Neil's post on there. He's working a loan modification. He did a post in the group page recently. Good dude. High quality, lots of integrity with him. These are individuals that highly recommend if, connecting, considering having them in your community. And how I look at community is like a dating scene. You should be figuring out what your strengths are, how you can put on your game face, how you can beautify yourself, whatever the case, and go out there and find people that you connect with. You're not looking for marriage, but you're just looking to make some strong connections. Dan Satovsky's been a friend over the course of years, and he's always doing his thing with buying REOs and notes and repositioning homes for turnkey rentals, and he has a whole training program out there, which is neat, and it's he really elaborate marketing system that he has. Alberto with Note Dashboard, I used his project management system when I first started, and Alberto would always pick up the phone and always spend time with me. And to him, he didn't know, who I was or if I was going to do anything or be anything. I could have been just another kind of spectator, if you will, buying a couple notes, and then I would just kind of be off to a new, I'd be flipping houses the next year and off to the newest cool thing. He didn't know any of that. So, but yet he didn't care. I would see him at Paper Source. I'd see him at, other events, conferences that they don't even have anymore. And he would just spend time with me, and so that always just meant a lot to me, and just total quality dude. And I'm mentioning these people because if you're new and you're watching and you're just kind of trying to get a sense of how a community would be put together, most of the time it's you just putting, on your game face, putting on, fixing your hair up, lipstick or whatever you got to do, and then going out there and being attractive to other individuals that would want to work with you. And there's just so many quality people in the space. You're not going to have to go far if you're really serious and committed about doing it. Victoria with SMR Note, what can I say? I bought a crap load of notes off of you. That's how I found my love for Florida. That's how I learned how to work out every kind of scenario. Buying junior liens that were BK discharged. They were severely underwater. Difficult bars, collateral file screw ups because DBI was involved. I mean, just every kind of snafu. But I'll tell you, that's where I got my roots, because when you learn to work out the difficult notes, that sets you up majorly for success, because the good ones are always going to come. And you'll know the good ones from the bad ones when you have worked through the bad ones. Doesn't work like, if you've worked through the good ones, you'll know what the bad ones look like. It doesn't always work like that, but work the bad ones diligently and figure out and sift your way through all this nonsense and then still get it to where it's performing and paying you. Then the sky's the limit for you. One thing Fuquan always told me, and Fuquan is like the second cousin too within the Philly Lien scene, because he trained under Dave Van Horn, and he's but he did his thing, put Jersey on the map for it. But one thing he always told me was when he bought in large pools, he would keep the bad notes for himself, and then he would sell the good notes, because you can always get top dollar for the good notes. And that forced his hand to learn how to work the bad notes and make something out of it. And I think that Fuquan's success in the industry just speaks for itself. And he's also another one. He'll be on a different day of appreciation, but I was just kind of thinking about it. Mr. Steve Lloyd, he'll be on a different day of appreciation as well. But much love to Fred, Bill, Alberto, Deepta, Dave, Neil, Dan, Victoria and Steve and the rest of the folks in Philly, and have a great Thanksgiving. I'll be on tomorrow as well to do day 4 of appreciation. Take care. Be good.